Right now, Australian businesses are quietly bleeding up to $90 billion every single year. And the culprit isn't the economy or inflation or even, a lack of market demand.
Yeah, it is the invisible gap between the data an organization generates and the data leadership can actually see.
Exactly.
It's a phenomenal amount of capital just evaporating. I mean, if you look at the manufacturing sector alone, that specific industry is hemorrhaging $26 billion annually, simply because they cannot see what is happening on their own factory floors in real time.
Welcome to all of our loyal followers tuning in from the C9 business page and right here on the C9 podcast show. We are thrilled to have you with us. I'm Lex.
And I'm Vera from the C9 Podcast Show.
Today, we are speaking directly to you, the Australian business owners and C-level executives who are, steering the ship. We're doing a deep dive into a massive stack of case studies to diagnose a fatal flaw in modern business operations.
Right, and we're using the work of C9 as our primary evidence because they are Australia's leading custom software, apps, integration, and database developer company. You can actually see the kind of transformative work we're exploring today over at www.c9.com.au.
But for now, let's look at this $90 billion problem. To understand how to fix it, we first have to understand what it looks like on the ground for your daily operations.
Well, for most growing Australian businesses, it just looks like an endless cycle of manual data extraction. It is the absolute bane of modern commerce.
Oh, I totally agree.
Think about it. Your business is generating incredibly valuable data everywhere. Sales, HR, finance, supply chain. But because those departments use different software to actually see the big picture, someone on your team has to physically pull those reports.
Yeah, they have to export a CSV file, dump it into some massive spreadsheet, painstakingly cross-reference the numbers, and reformat it for a leadership meeting, which takes, an agonizing amount of time.
Oh, absolutely.
I was looking at a 2024 survey of Western Australian businesses. Over half of the executives surveyed reported that compliance reporting alone eats up more than 120 staff hours per quarter.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is essentially 3 full working weeks a year per staff member involved, completely lost to a purely administrative function.
Right.
They aren't analyzing the data to find new revenue, they are just formatting it.
It's like trying to drive a high-performance vehicle down the highway at 100 kilometers an hour, but your windshield is blacked out.
Right.
And you are only allowed to look in the rearview mirror.
Yeah.
By the time leadership gets that meticulously crafted spreadsheet, they're looking at last week's reality, not today's.
That is a perfect analogy.
I mean, you wouldn't try to day trade stocks by reading last week's newspaper.
No, you definitely wouldn't. But that is exactly how so many executives are being forced to run their operations. It is fundamentally a systems problem. Your team is likely working incredibly hard just to keep the lights on.
Yeah, but the instinctive response from management to fix this is usually deeply flawed, isn't it?
It is. When a CEO realizes they have a reporting bottleneck, the reflex is to just add like another generic software subscription to the pile.
I see this constantly. The classic SaaS bolt-on trap.
Exactly.
You just buy an off-the-shelf reporting tool for $20 a month per user and assume the problem is solved. Why is that such a dangerous move?
Because in the long run, that bolt-on approach compounds your complexity. Now you have yet another siloed system that doesn't natively talk to your old systems.
Right, it might solve one specific issue for one department, but your team still has to manually bridge the gap between the new software and the legacy database.
Exactly, which is why generic software just doesn't scale well.
It makes me think of buying a tailored suit versus buying off the rack.
Yeah.
Buying off-the-shelf software is like buying a suit designed for the average human. Sure, it technically has 2 arms and 2 legs, but it's going to bunch up at the shoulders, the sleeves will be too long, and you will spend every single day awkwardly adjusting it. Generic software forces you to adapt your business to the software.
You end up making permanent manual workarounds just to make the tool function, which is why the alternative is so powerful. What happens when a business stops adapting to generic software and decides to build a system around their actual reality instead?
Let's use some real-world evidence here to explain that. Because C9 builds purpose-built custom solutions like web portals and dashboards that weave directly onto a company's specific workflows.
And they do it without feature constraints or hidden license fees. Let's look at Tranex equipment.
Okay.
Their situation perfectly highlights the time lag issue we just discussed. They needed to report on sales performance and daily KPIs.
But because of their manual extraction process, their decision makers were always operating on information that was, hours behind the real world.
Exactly. By the time a manager saw a dip in performance, the opportunity to fix it for that day was already gone. So C9 built them a web-based KPI dashboard. And the mechanism here is crucial.
Instead of relying on a human to export data, the custom dashboard automatically queries their existing databases and refreshes the visual metrics every 5 minutes.
The gap between data generation and leadership decision just vanished overnight. It requires zero human intervention.
We saw a similar transformation with PubTek in the hospitality sector. They had scaled their national operations massively, which is fantastic, but their data infrastructure didn't scale with them.
Right. They were relying on a massive, incredibly fragile Excel spreadsheet to track everything.
We have all encountered a spreadsheet like that.
Right.
It has 80 tabs, thousands of macros.
Oh, yeah, a total nightmare.
And if one person accidentally deletes a single formula in one cell, the entire national operation grinds to a halt.
It becomes a massive liability. So C9 replaced that precarious spreadsheet model with a real-time central dashboard. It pulled all those disparate hospitality metrics into a single, live, stable web environment.
Okay, I'm putting myself in the shoes of a CEO listening right now. If I hear custom software built from scratch, my blood pressure immediately spikes.
Oh, for sure.
I picture a 2-year, multi-million-dollar nightmare where the software development drags on forever, the scope creeps, and the product is completely obsolete by the time it's finally finished. How does a custom build not just turn into an endless money pit?
Well, that anxiety is entirely justified based on how software used to be built. In the old days, developers used the waterfall method.
Right.
You wrote a massive check, gave them a list of requirements, waited 18 months in silence, and prayed the final product actually worked. But modern custom development doesn't operate like that. C9 utilizes a staged delivery approach.
How does staged delivery practically protect the client's investment?
You build and deploy the solution in modular phases. You identify the single most painful bottleneck in the business, build a custom module to solve just that, and deploy it immediately.
So the business sees working functionality and starts getting early returns on their investment within weeks, not years.
Exactly. You validate the approach against real operational use before you build the next piece.
That completely flips the risk profile. You de-risk the investment by proving value out of the gate. And I know C9 did exactly this for Specialist Electrical Solutions, or SES.
I did.
SES was spending hours of painful manual effort just to produce critical financial reporting, like profit and loss statements and expense tracking.
And C9 stepped in with a staged delivery model. They built a custom modular portal that reduced the time needed to produce those critical reports from hours down to literally seconds.
And sometimes the logic of your business is just too unique for generic software to even comprehend, like with PETA in the comparison market.
Oh, right. They needed a system to manage incredibly complex, bespoke performance structures that evaluated both individual staff metrics and overall team performance simultaneously.
Generic project management software simply could not handle their specific mathematical logic. You can't fit custom logic into a generic box.
You really can't. So C9 built a fully custom portal from the ground up. And they prioritized bespoke user experience design so that the non-technical staff on the floor could actually use it intuitively every day without needing a computer science degree.
So we can see how custom dashboards drastically accelerate internal speed. But businesses don't exist in a vacuum.
Right.
What happens when the CEO is sitting in an office in Sydney, but the financial data they need is locked in a server in London?
This is where we get into integration, tearing down the walls between the siloed data, because a lot of businesses have older legacy systems that they simply cannot afford to replace.
The beauty of custom web portals is that they can connect deeply complex, geographically separated data without forcing a business to rip out its existing infrastructure.
The Atkins Global case study perfectly illustrates this. They are a multinational engineering firm. Following a major corporate merger, their Australian operations faced a total reporting blackout.
Because corporate mergers are notoriously chaotic for data infrastructure. Suddenly, the Australian team couldn't report effectively because the overarching corporate financial system was sitting all the way over in the United Kingdom.
And that system was a J.D. Edwards ERP. For those who might not be deep in the IT weeds, an ERP is an enterprise resource planning system.
Right, you can think of it as the central nervous system of a massive corporation. It handles everything from accounting to supply chain to human resources.
And replacing an ERP is, a monumental, highly disruptive task. The default answer from most consultants there would be a massive multi-million-dollar local ERP deployment for the Australian branch that would take years to implement.
But C9 took a much smarter route. They built a lightweight custom portal for the Australian team that integrated directly with the UK-based ERP via secure APIs.
It acted like a bridge across the globe. No local ERP deployment was needed, but local leadership got full visibility.
Well, think of the custom portal as like a universal translator sitting in the middle of a crowded room.
Oh, I like that.
You might have a 30-year-old legacy database sitting in one corner, an overseas ERP in another, and a modern cloud accounting platform over there. None of them naturally understand each other.
But the custom portal connects to all of them, translates their unique data formats, and displays everything on one screen in a language the executive team actually understands.
Grant Broadcasters is another brilliant example of that universal translator concept. Their national sales data wasn't neatly organized in one system. It lived in separate SQL databases scattered across various regional offices all over Australia.
And a SQL database, unlike a simple flat spreadsheet, is more like a highly structured dynamic filing cabinet. It's incredibly robust for storing complex relationships between data, but
if those filing cabinets are locked in separate buildings in different cities, you still have a massive visibility problem.
exactly. To fix that, C9 built a portal that utilizes nightly web service synchronization. Every single night while the staff is sleeping, the portal automatically reaches out to all those scattered SQL databases across the country.
It extracts the day's sales data, pulls it into one central hub, and updates the forecasting models. Leadership wakes up to a perfectly accurate, unified national picture.
That automated synchronization is just as vital when dealing with external partners, like franchise networks. Studio Pilates uses a custom portal built by C9 that embeds Microsoft Power BI directly into the interface.
The aha moment here is fascinating, because franchise data isn't just about corporate visibility, it's heavily tied to human psychology.
Right.
This custom portal gives national leadership a bird's-eye view of the whole network, sure, but it also gives individual franchisees a secure login to see their own real-time performance against the national average.
By building it this way, you aren't just passively tracking data, you are actively gamifying operational excellence across the entire franchise network.
It creates instant accountability without corporate having to send out a single demanding email. Fit Merchandising used a similar strategy for their supply chain.
Oh, right. Before C9 stepped in, internal staff were constantly acting as manual middlemen. If a retail supplier wanted to know how their products were performing, a Fit Merchandising employee had to manually pull the data, format it, and email it out.
C9 completely eliminated that bottleneck by building an isolated supplier portal. Suppliers now just log into a secure web interface and can instantly self-serve their own performance metrics.
The suppliers get data on demand, and the internal staff get hundreds of hours of their lives back.
We've covered international integrations and supply chains. But what if the data itself goes beyond standard sales metrics?
Like what?
Like what if the information is highly sensitive, strictly regulated, or incredibly niche?
This highlights the true extreme versatility of purpose-built development. Let's look at the scientific sector. CSIRO's Data 61 is one of Australia's premier scientific research agencies. They required a custom portal for the controlled release of highly sensitive, massive research files. You can't just attach a 2-gigabyte research file to a standard email.
No, definitely not.
They needed heavy-duty security and integration with Amazon S3.
And S3 is essentially Amazon's massive, highly scalable cloud storage infrastructure. It's designed to hold an unbelievable amount of data securely. But moving that much data is tricky.
Very tricky. C9 had to build a system capable of complex data chunking in transit.
The mechanism there is fascinating. Imagine trying to swallow a whole watermelon at once.
It's going to fail miserably.
Exactly. Data chunking takes that massive 2-gigabyte scientific file and breaks it down into tiny bite-sized pieces. It sends those little chunks across the network individually and reassembles them perfectly on the other side.
This ensures that a dropped internet connection halfway through doesn't corrupt the file or ruin the entire secure transfer. C9 built this to meet strict national scientific compliance standards.
The principles of custom logic apply everywhere, from cutting-edge science to agriculture. Tasmanian Irrigation had a fragile, risky Excel sheet managing highly regulated state water rights.
And C9 transformed it into a secure, fully auditable web application. Avocados Australia had an aging, clunky legacy system, and C9 completely replaced it to track national avocado distribution logistics.
And if we look at healthcare and education, the technical applications are stunning. C9 developed a SaaS platform called StormRoad for clinical medical education. They actually utilized a technology called 3.js to build it.
Right. For context, 3.js is a powerful JavaScript library that allows developers to render complex, interactive 3D graphics directly in a standard web browser.
Yeah, without requiring the user to download any special plugins or heavy software.
Utilizing that, CNON created a fully interactive 3D environment for medical students to study clinical cardiac rhythms right on their laptops.
That is an incredible leap, from managing avocado distribution to rendering 3D cardiac rhythms.
And it continues. C9 built custom middleware for ReferHealth to simplify the complex referral process between general practitioners and specialized medical practitioners.
For One School Global, they developed a fully integrated national transport management system. It even includes an in-vehicle tablet application that tracks student transit in real time.
Relaying that live data to a dedicated mobile app so parents know exactly where their children are.
The footprint across Australian industry is just massive. I mean, C9 manages field permissions for highly regulated oil, gas, and mining sites with Fenley Secure.
Right, and they built a health program QR tracking app for IM in Connect. Plus, they've developed customized SAP software add-ons for K2 partnering.
Yeah, and they completely redeveloped a maintenance SaaS platform called ScheduleMate.
Specifically focusing on user experience for trade workers who aren't, necessarily tech savvy.
Exactly. They build drag-and-drop university accommodation software for the University of Tasmania.
Dynamic, secure government health forms for Queensland Health.
And they provide ongoing Chief Technology Officer advisory and managed services for major logistics operations like the Bonnie Group and platforms like For Life.
The overarching theme across all these disparate examples, whether it's retail, healthcare, agriculture, media, or government, is that C9 prioritizes a deep forensic understanding of a client-specific operational workflow.
They figure out exactly how the business moves, and then they build a digital infrastructure to accelerate it, rather than forcing a company to mold itself to a prepackaged product.
So let's bring all these technological capabilities right back to the bottom line for you, the executive listener. We've seen the incredible speed and clarity these custom solutions unlock.
But what is the actual cost for the businesses that refuse to upgrade?
The market data is incredibly clear. The gap between data-driven businesses and those lagging behind in spreadsheets is widening at an alarming rate.
The digital transformation market in Australia was valued at $18.5 billion in 2024. Analysts project it will rocket to $84.7 billion in the coming years.
The expectation for speed is shifting permanently. Executive use of business intelligence dashboards jumped from 48% to 67% in just a 2-year window.
Your competitors are literally making decisions faster than they were 24 months ago.
The return on investment for upgrading your data architecture is undeniable. Enterprises with advanced business intelligence maturity make critical decisions 2.5 times faster than their peers.
They achieve a 40% higher return on investment on their analytics initiatives.
And, perhaps most importantly for the bottom line, they reduce their overall operational costs by an average of 18 to 22%.
While those data-driven companies are accelerating and cutting costs, look at the rest of the market. Only 42% of Australian SMEs actually reported growth in 2024.
Wow.
If your operations are bogged down in manual extraction processes, you're actively getting left behind.
So I want to pose 3 ultimate questions directly to you right now. First, what specific data do you need daily to make informed decisions, and how many hours does it currently take your team to get it to you?
Second, where does that data actually live? Is it neatly centralized, or is it scattered across legacy systems, emails, and isolated databases?
And third, are your highly paid staff acting as manual middlemen? Are they spending their days pulling reports, formatting spreadsheets, and emailing clients or suppliers instead of doing the high-value strategic work you actually hired them to do?
If the answers to those questions involve hours of delay, disconnected systems, and staff tied up in administrative knots, the cost of maintaining your current status quo is already significantly hurting your business.
Off-the-shelf tools might solve simple, generic problems, but when your business has complex, multi-source, or industry-specific data needs, you are losing money every single day you do not have a tailored solution.
To summarize our deep dive today, relying on generic software creates bottlenecks.
But whether it requires replacing a fragile national spreadsheet with a live dashboard, bridging a geographical gap with an international ERP, or building an isolated self-service portal for your suppliers, a purpose-built, custom solution eliminates the manual overhead.
It gives you the immediate operational visibility required to aggressively lead your sector. And I want to leave you with a final, forward-looking thought to mull over.
We have spent this entire deep dive discussing human executives needing clean data to make faster decisions. But what happens when artificial intelligence inevitably becomes the standard operating procedure for every industry in the very near future?
AI engines require clean, centralized, real-time data to function. If your company's data is currently trapped in disconnected spreadsheets, siloed SaaS applications, and unintegrated legacy software, your business won't just be operating slowly.
No, you will be completely locked out of the AI revolution before you even have a chance to begin.
That is a critical realization. Fixing your data infrastructure and building custom pipelines today isn't just about gaining a slight efficiency edge right now. It is fundamentally about your organization's survival tomorrow.
It's time to stop looking in the rearview mirror. If you are relying on manual reporting or if your critical data is disconnected, you need to take action.
Book a free 30-minute consultation with C9 today. They are Australia's leading custom software, apps, integration, and database developer company.
In just 30 minutes, their expert team will analyze your specific bottlenecks and give you an honest, practical assessment of what a purpose-built digital solution would look like for your unique operational environment.
Head directly to their website right now. It is www.c9.com.au.
That is www.c9.com.au.
Don't let disorganized data hold your business hostage any longer.
And for all our loyal followers listening today, please remember to hit that follow button on your podcast platform and on the C9 business page so you never miss an update. And if you found these insights valuable, share this deep dive with other business leaders, owners, and C-level executives in your network who could benefit from a little more speed and a lot more clarity.
Thanks for joining us.